In HRWize, the Timesheets module will allow users to complete and submit timesheets based on hours which they worked. To enable timesheets, you must go to Administration, Company, Settings, and then Display Settings. In the Module Display section, you have two options, the Timesheets and the Timesheets Simple. The Timesheet Simple is the original HRWize timesheet solution. However, this timesheet has limited functionality and would not work with workflows. So, we'll look at the timesheet solution for this session. Once we've enabled timesheets, we must go to Administration, Company, Settings, Timesheets, and then Timesheet Settings. We will discuss these settings as we go through adding a timesheet as an employee. Now, we are logged in as Amy, one of our employee users, and we will look at how this employee can complete a timesheet and submit it for approval. To add a timesheet, the employee must go to Self-Service, My Request, and then Timesheets. And here we can see any timesheets that have been already added. We can see the week beginning, the date created, the hours worked, the status, and also the view action. We'll go ahead and click on Add to add a new timesheet. First, from the week beginning dropdown, we select a week we're entering the timesheet for. In Timesheet Settings, we have chosen to allow our employees to be able to choose a number of weeks before and a number of weeks after the current week. Then, we choose a date. Please note that the available days are determined by the employee's working pattern and will take any consideration to any public holidays and time off booked as well. In the timesheet settings, you can choose whether or not you want to allow your employees to choose and add details to non-working days on their timesheet. In this example, we're going to add the details for each day separately, so we'll start with Monday. Here you can see a space of where you can display any instructions for your employees. This is added by the timesheet settings in Timesheets, Display Instructions. You can also use a default start, a default end, and a default break time that were added in the Timesheet Settings page. Or you can add your own times here. Please note that you can set the timesheet allowed hours. So for instance, it would not be possible to set a start time earlier than 8 a.m. or at an end time later than 7:59 p.m. If we do restrict the allowed report hours, then all 24 hours of the day can be selected for the start and end times. There is also a setting available which allows you to roll over midnight. This means you can have a shift worker with a start time at 10 p.m. and an end time at 6 a.m. the next day. This will calculate correctly to 8 hours, work less any breaks. In the timesheet settings, you can choose to have multiple entries per day or just one, which will calculate the total hours from the start and the end time and subtract the breaks. In this example, we will allow our employees to add or more entries per day to get more flexible in recording. You can choose in the timesheet settings whether or not you want to use timesheet references, such as the one you see here. And if you do, you can let your managers to add any references. In our line for Monday, we're going to go ahead and fill this up. So we'll select our client and our type. These references are set up via our Administration, Company, Settings, Timesheets, and Timesheets References. They will be set up as Level 0, 1, and 2 references respectively. The labels for these references are set in the General Timesheet Settings page. But please note that these references can also be used in an expense claim if you want to record a billable expense against a client you are submitting a timesheet for. We can choose via our timesheet settings if you want your employees to select yes or no if their work is billable or not. And then finally, we enter the time taken to complete this work. Please note that this field will stay red until the total number of hours worked matches the duration of the start and end time less any breaks. So we're going to go ahead and add some lines to add more entries to this day. When we add the lines for the day, click on Add Entry. And here you can see that the time has been successfully added. We'll repeat the process for each day, adding one or more lines as required. When we finish, click on Cancel. Now we return in the list of timesheets. In the Approval column, we can see the status of the timesheet is Draft. We can click on the Add button to add more entries to this timesheet if required by selecting the same week beginning and the date you want to add the time worked to. To the right of the timesheet, there is the actions to view, edit, and to delete. In the case of a timesheet with a status of draft, we also have the action to confirm. Clicking on Confirm, we have the option to edit or delete any of the days and entries of the timesheet. Here in the Timesheet Summary, we can see the total hours on each day, but also in the Delta column, we can see whether we worked more or less hours we are required to do each day. And then finally, we click on Submit. And then here, we have a confirmation that says that the timesheet has been successfully submitted for approval. Now, logging in as either the employee's manager or someone with an admin access level, we can see the timesheet for approval in the Workflow section on the right-hand side. Or you can go and see in Time and Attendance, and then Timesheets, where here you can view all of the submitted timesheets. We can see in the status as pending approval, or rejected. In the Actions column, we can view, delete, or depending on the status, approved, or it has been already rejected, pushed back. If we choose pushback, then the status of the timesheet will be set to draft, and the employee must then resubmit for approval after putting the right reason for being rejected. Please note that pushback can also be applied for any expense or mileage claims that has been declined. Clicking on the approved action, the manager can review the submitted timesheet, and then in the end, can approve or decline it. Once approved or declined, the employee will see the status of changed from pending approval to approved or rejected. In addition to the manager's view, the manager can also add a timesheet on behalf of one of their employees by going to Time and Attendance and then Timesheets. And then here, we can go ahead and click on Add Timesheet. The manager must select the employee name from the employee's dropdown and then can complete the timesheet in the exact same way we have did before. Once we have added the details and submitted the timesheet, if we go back to our timesheets, we can see that it has been already approved as it was the manager who have added it.